So to start this free agency off, we re-signed Aaron Rodgers to a 3-year, $150 million deal. Deserved it. Back-to-back MVPs, playing out of his mind recently. The one big thing though is with Green Bay Packers, what are they going to do with Jordan Love? First round pick in 2020. It's an understatement to say that we just sort of swept him off to the wayside. Obviously, Rodgers going back to the thing, playing out of his mind, back-to-back MVPs. But by the time that his contract is up, Jordan Love is gone. He's a free agent. By the time that contract is up, he'll be a free agent no matter what. Even if we take his 5th year deal, he'll be gone. So I think it's now sort of time seeing like, well, what do we do with him now? What do we do with Jordan Love? I'm going from my perspective before I go into. I think there's like two solutions that we can do with him, but my perspective, I like him. I think it will be a good transitional period. I don't want to use that term a lot, but he'll be a good transitional quarterback. We can't have back to back to back to back to back generational talents with Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and going into Jordan Love. It's sort of far fetched. So, especially this year, you're seeing it now with the wide receiver core. We're sort of geared towards rebuild. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We're sort of going to be going into a rebuild within the next 5 years. So, I think what we can do is that, like, this is going into point one. Point one, just keep him. He's making only 1.7 mil right now. If we do trade him or release him, the cap hit will be 3.3 million. He's a reliable backup to have in case Rodgers gets injured because he is older. He has multiple collarbone injuries, had concussions. He had his leg surgery. He had his leg stuff in 2019. Last year was his turf toe. Like, it's stuff like that where it's like, if we have him, then we have him as a backup for right now. Learn behind him. The only other quarterback that we have on our roster right now is Kirk Benkirk, which I love Kirk Benkirk. I don't think anybody hates Kirk Benkirk. But do I want him seeing quality minutes? Not really. Like, I'm sorry to say that, but no. I would much rather have Jordan Love be our number one backup than Kirk Benkirk. If, say, Rodgers gets injured and we don't know and we realize, oh, he's not as good as we want him to be, okay, cool, awesome. Then we get a quarterback in the draft again, whatever. Like, even as us as fans, we don't understand it a lot more, but we don't know what we have with this guy. He's played a total of 5 games, if that, because 2020, his preseason was canceled because of COVID. 2021 was his first actual like off season with the team. Was able to play all the games. Came in against Kansas City. Did well, I would say. Did pretty well. Came in against Detroit. Detroit was a trap game. Whatever. Option 2. This is much more of a win now mode. We want our Super Bowl window to be here right now before Rodgers leaves, before we have to physically go into a rebuild. And that's use Love and a pick that we got from either the Raiders trade or use our pick to go for a wide receiver. Now, obviously, like, there's one wide receiver that I'm going to get to that I think is basically like the only sort of wide receiver that's out there that we can trade for using Love and a pick. But we need wide receiver depth. On the last video, it's so bad looking at the wide receivers, and we still haven't made any moves. We re-signed a cornerback. We got a defensive tackle. So it's like we're focusing on the defense, which I like, but we're still abusing the wide receiver core. We need to get Rodgers some weapons. Please. Please. Pretty please. But, so, the only option that I really see, and that makes sense for both teams, is a trade for DK Metcalf. Now, my buddies know my sort of reputation I have with DK. I personally don't like him. I don't like his personality. Is he a good wide receiver? Yes. But the stuff that he did last year against the Packers was just sort of, I didn't like it. I don't know. I'm weird like that. But Love, pick 28, try to get another wide receiver in the draft. Get DK and a wide receiver in the draft. Still, you still have so many wide receivers out there in free agency that, yes, they're waiting for the money, but it's going to be tough to get them to sign. The one thing, too, is that Seattle's basically in a rebuild mode. They have Drew Lock as their quarterback. They have Noah Fant. They have Shelby Harris. They got that in the trade from Denver. But who else do you have? You got DK. You got Tyler Lockett. Chris Carson. You don't really have a defense anymore. You don't really have an offensive line. You're in a rebuild mode, especially with how, I wouldn't say how stacked the NFC West is, but like how That's like probably one of the tougher divisions in the entire league, in the entire NFC right now. But the one con that I have with it is that DK Metcalf only has a year left on his deal. With how the wide receivers have been this past offseason, with basically every single one of them getting a bag no matter where they went, MVS went to Kansas City and got a 3-year, $30 million bag. Like, that's insane. Like, it's a year. It's like, it's just insane how high wide receivers have been going. But it's sort of granted. They sort of need it. But so those are the two things that I have. Just sort of keep him and let him grow again. Or get DK. Try to get DK. That's like sort of like the only wide receivers. If you guys have any sort of wide receivers that you would want, leave them in the comments. But those are really the only two things that I have to either get us to improve right now, try to get a title right now while Rodgers still on the team and to stay that we level that we are, or just keep it going and just sort of slowly disintegrate into nothingness like we did in the 70s. But hopefully somebody will have a breakout year. Who knows? Maybe we trade him, maybe we don't. Maybe we make some moves, maybe we don't. Knowing Green Bay, we're going to draft a defensive lineman in the first round.